We are
Here we go.
going live. Oh, I think we're there.
Yeah,
Hello, everyone.
another day.
Yes.
Again, here we are again. So normally we do Fridays on the Edge in a Facebook group. Today we're doing Fridays on the Edge, just kind of out here in the open because we've been talking about how to build businesses, and we have a big event tomorrow. So, well, let's hear about that big event
Yes, thank
tomorrow.
you. Of course. Tomorrow, we've been talking a lot about it. Our big DevSecOps 101 hackathon in partnership with GitLab is coming up tomorrow. So what does that mean, the hackathon? Okay, so what we're going to be doing tomorrow during the hackathon is we're going to be building a zero trust cockpit, and then we're going to be, or each of our participants is going to be building their own asset within the cockpit or their own developer environment, their own stack, whatever they
You're
need
building a business
to
pipeline.
build your business pipeline and get your MVP to market. So that's the challenge tomorrow, and that's what we're going to be doing tomorrow during our hackathon. I wanted to show everyone a little bit of some of the amazing GitLab swag that we have that we're going to be giving away.
For prizes,
this is a sweet little bag that you can win. We got some t-shirts. Who doesn't love a good GitLab t-shirt? And then we have another awesome backpack.
So if you're the winner, you get the juicy stuff.
Ooh, there's some cool stuff here. We got some stickers. We got some other little bags. And of course, we're going to be giving away a lot of good digital goodies from Cloud Underground as well.
It's a tournament, right? They're not just...
Exactly.
Tell them about that.
So it's a tournament, which means at the end, we're going to each be demoing what you've built. And we're going to be kind of judging your project, the completeness of it, how far you got. If you didn't finish it, it's okay, of course. Like, this is just, you're building a stack in preparation for creating a whole product down the road that you can then take to market. So we're just helping you get started with that. So we're going to be judging on your idea, the completeness of the stack that you've created in the time period that we allot, and your demo.
Yeah, and you could start a business with what you do right away. And so ultimately, if folks who've wondered over the years, like, what is it that we do? So it's something that you haven't seen probably in the past so much. So platform engineering is really what it's kind of called. So it's a little confusing because if you're a DevOps team, you probably work on some form of a platform. So there's application DevOps and DevSecOps, and then there's, like someone who maintains platforms, depending on how that's built. In some cases, as the developer, it gets real complicated. So Laura, what's platform engineering and why?
Platform engineering. So we've been talking and thinking a lot about platform engineering this past week. There's a really great video that if you go to the Underground Nexus page on our website, you can find that from Tech World with Nana, where she talks about this concept in pretty great depth. But what is platform engineering? Essentially, it's, when you're creating a cloud native asset, your developers need an environment, and depending on the kind of asset that you're building, they're going to need a specific kind of environment. And so a lot of the developers' brain power can go, like she talks a lot about the cognitive load, is going into like building just this environment. So you're spending all of your time and brain power just getting the stack right, getting, your development environment in place. That's platform engineering. And what we do with Cloud Underground and the Underground Nexus is we take that whole process off of the shoulders of the developers. So with Underground Nexus, we've done all of the platform engineering for you, and you can just jump right in and get to work. Essentially, you might have to add a couple tools, or maybe you work with us and we create a customized environment for you where we add all of the tools that you need. But that's what platform engineering is, right?
Yeah. So if we're going back to like the hackathon, and we're doing this hackathon thing, and we're saying that you can start a business and you can do all this stuff, it's really not like magic. It's really just platform engineering. There's always something new going on. There's always more going on in technology, more complex things going on in technology. It always gets a lot more interesting as you go. And so if you wanted to learn, like, how is it that you can, have a platform that's ready to go, but then just start developing, because that's the side that we take off of folks. The purpose of the Underground Nexus is to take that cognitive load off of you, and you'll experience in the hackathon, what is it like to have a platform that's there, that's ready for you to just start building on, so much so that you can by the time you've done a demo, you'll also have your resource. We teach you how to license it too, so that you can learn like, hey, this is your asset. How you decide how are you going to protect that asset? Is it going to be something that you're going to pitch to everyone? Are you going to pitch it as something that you want to learn how to monetize? We're business owners. We run businesses. We've been doing these things for a while now. And so I guess that kind of brings us to like, I guess we've been doing these things for a long time, haven't we?
Yeah, for a really long time. I mean, it takes us way back to like our first hackathon, which was in 2019, before Cloud Underground even existed, before the Underground Nexus, it became what it is today. Back then it was something completely different. Well, not completely different, but it was, kind of the beta version or whatever, the Olympiad. And so,
good old Olympiad.
Yeah,
days.
I mean, talk a little bit about that history, Nato. You lived it a little even before I did, so.
Yeah, so it's been interesting. So there's kind of like that idea of like, it's like a 10-year overnight success or whatever. Building software is really complicated, and coming up with like ideas is a little more complicated because it's usually something that you kind of stumble on. So if we go, for me, all the way back to like 2011, I like had this idea of like having this like integrated resource in your home that gave you the kind of like benefits that I was kind of learning at this like job back in the time, my first like computer job. I'm like, whoa, you can do so much with computers, but what if you could bring all these benefits to the home and to like your average user? And so this is like 2011, and yeah, so my little home integration idea it wasn't viable. It couldn't really go anywhere. And so you just keep working and getting different jobs, and you learn more as you go, right? So I was getting like certifications. And so I started building different kinds of improved development platforms at home. And I always have like this little project corner where I've just always been building like my own development resources, and I have like work, and then I like would take what I learn, and that would benefit my job. So it helped me get promotions, things like that, because you build skills when you're doing things at home. It's kind of
your side projects really make a huge difference, and especially in these sorts of industries. Yeah, if you're home tinkering away at things, it's going to definitely contribute to your professional development.
Yeah, and just like one day, it just got to a point where it's like, oh, so you keep building these things, and then you build the same thing over and over again, and then you have to say goodbye to it. Build the same thing again, say goodbye to it. And this time I was like, I don't want to say goodbye to this one. And so it's like 2016 is when I set out to like make the thing that however long it takes, I'm going to stop making the same stuff forevermore, like over and over again. And that's really like the platform structure that people can use to start developing. So like, how do you start developing? You got to have a good foundation to just start developing real fast. You can't, and then otherwise like companies, they'll have like IT manage it or whatever, whoever manages it. But that's why we automated this whole thing. So I guess.
Yeah. Well, and I think there was the other piece of it in that like, for a long time, the hardware couldn't keep up, and then you finally had the hardware, and then the hardware was like inaccessible. And so it's like, how can we make this in a way that's, in a cloud essentially, and in a virtual environment, so that you don't even so you can build it on any hardware.
Because we were using AWS for a while, and then we were like, this is frustrating because managing the billing was fine. They gave us refunds when we asked for it, but they'd be like, wait a minute, I asked you to cancel that bill, and then they'd be like, okay, fine, sorry, we'll take it off. And, I mean, they're always really friendly, but if you don't have to deal with that overhead, and you're trying to run a business, and you're trying to like help them correct your billing, that was frustrating for me. And then as a developer, if I could just get rid of those phone calls out of my day, and then also get rid of those like recurring AWS bills, the Raspberry Pi came out, and it was about as powerful as some of the servers I worked with all the way back in 2011. So all of a sudden I'm like, wow, like the power of these servers in these like in 2010, 2008 server rooms and stuff like that.
Yeah.
On your desk in 2019.
Yeah.
And so that's when we did our first tournament. But then the problem went from there is like Raspberry Pi got so popular.
Yeah.
That you couldn't get them anymore.
Supply chain issues made them very hard to get. And so we were like, okay, so how can we create this technology? And make it virtual, make it deployable on any hardware, because with the chip shortage and everything, it was hard to get anything. So
Yeah, and so we'd always in the past, like, here's software or like an operating system image, and if you look at Notia Point, you see like the little like servers that we still actually make if someone were to like request one on a special order or something like that.
Yeah, and I think we're going to bring them back now that pies are becoming a little more accessible again.
Yeah, so it's kind of interesting because all of a sudden it's like, well, how can we control our own supply chain so that now we're not like suddenly unable to deliver our services because the infrastructure is like not accessible enough.
Right.
And so then that led to the underground Nexus where it's like, okay, now you have a virtual structure that can provide all of the platform elements that you need without having like a specific required hardware set or all these things. Plus, you don't have to do the configurations all the time over and over over again, just like forevermore. Like doing that journey per team, per environment, it becomes exhausting. And then doing it again and again. And anyone who's worked on a DevOps team, some of them, they have like someone who will manage the platform resources for you. But anyone who's worked on enough dev teams, you'll go into those companies where it's like, they just don't have that many resources yet. Maybe it's a startup. Maybe they just don't have platform resources. And they're like, we just build your stuff and configure it how you're used to, however you're used to. And then everyone's like, okay, so then so-and-so's troubleshooting is different from so-and-so's troubleshooting because they have these completely different environments. And they're like, well, wait a minute, I'm using this app. Well, but I'm using this app. I'm using this IDE and I'm using that IDE. And then no one can troubleshoot together either. It's complicated.
Right. Yeah.
Anyways, DevOps, DevSecOps, it's an interesting place to be if you've been in it for long enough.
It is an interesting place to be in it. And it's something that I feel like is evolving quickly, like out of necessity. It's like these things are important for developers, especially in the cloud native and like edge computing world. And we're here to help in whatever way we can.
This is the first zero trust flavor of our like tournaments that we've ever done. And why this is valuable to us is because in the past, we always required centralized infrastructure, which we still use centralized infrastructure because we're going to be using a dedicated LMS. But you'll notice that everyone's development space when you're doing the hackathon is unique to you and it's yours. And we have you choose where you want your metal. So whether you self-host it, you just need Docker wherever you have that Docker sock. Could be an AWS, could be in DigitalOcean if you're trying to just have like a little web location. Either can be pretty affordable. You can use Civo. Civo gives you cloud credits. If you, let's say you just want to participate in the hackathon, start a Civo account and it won't bill you until, I think you get like $250 for your first thing. So it's enough to do the hackathon. Nice, yeah. And then if you liked it, then now you have an environment that's built in the cloud in Civo that you can turn into something or turn off if you decide you're tired of it. But you can just start a product, literally. So the hackathon, you can just outright launch a product right like off your desk. And
that's what it's for. That's what we're here for, to help you get started. And yeah, we'll be here throughout the event to help whoever, to help our participants. If you get stuck or caught up on anything, we'll be here to help you. And
yeah. And if anyone's curious, I'll even teach you how to scale something that you make straight from your desk in Hackathon up to somewhere like Civo, like, because you can scale from multiple. It's hybrid world, hybrid computing. We're in the modern days, people. We're no longer in the days where you have to choose where you need your stuff to live. Just start making it somewhere and then decide where you want it to be later. Start on your desk or something. And then one day decide your desk isn't enough. Scale it out. Right. You don't have to pre-prep those environments like you used to, or at least like I used to for people who did that work. For those who didn't do that work, lucky you. But yeah.
Well, yeah, so it's not too late to sign up if you do want to join us tomorrow, kicking off at noon Mountain Daylight Time. And you can click the link in the description of this video, or if you're on LinkedIn, just in the post, you can find a link there that'll take you to the Hackathon landing page where you can sign up. Come win some awesome GitLab merch. Win some awesome Cloud Underground digital products, and the grand prize winner gets
Where's our website?
Master of the Cloud. Our website, cloudunderground.dev.
Yeah. Check out cloudunderground.dev to see all the stuff that we're talking about.
Yep, it's all there.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thanks everyone, and we hope to see you tomorrow.